Listen to me very carefully right now, chosen one. There is something massive stirring in the spiritual realm. Something so undeniable, so earth-shattering, that every person who ever doubted you, mocked your journey, or questioned your calling is about to witness a manifestation they cannot explain away. You've felt it, haven't you? That electricity in your spirit? That knowing that whispers in the quiet moments, everything is about to change. For years you've walked through the valley of uncertainty. You've endured the sideways glances, the patronizing smiles, the "we'll see" responses when you spoke about your purpose. Family members have questioned your sanity. Friends have distanced themselves. Colleagues have dismissed your insights as fantasy. And in those dark nights, those brutal, soul-crushing nights, you've even questioned yourself. Am I making this up? Am I delusional? Did I really hear from God, or have I been chasing shadows? But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to know. Your season of vindication is not coming. It's already here. If this message is resonating with your spirit, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists to equip the chosen ones for their destiny, and you being here is not an accident. And if you're feeling led, support this ministry with a super thanks. Your generosity keeps these life-changing messages flowing to chosen ones around the world. The doubt you've carried wasn't placed there by God. It was strategically planted by forces that recognize the threat you pose to the kingdom of darkness. Every time you've questioned your calling, you are actually standing at the threshold of your greatest breakthrough. The Bible tells us in James 1:6-8, "But when you ask, you must believe and not doubt, because the one who doubts is like a wave of the sea, blown and tossed by the wind. That person should not expect to receive anything from the Lord. Such a person is double-minded and unstable in all they do." Your instability wasn't weakness, it was warfare. But that warfare is about to end in the most spectacular victory you've ever witnessed. Throughout Scripture, we see a consistent pattern that should set your soul on fire right now. God always vindicates his chosen vessels in a way that leaves zero room for alternative explanations. Not some room. Not a little wiggle space for skeptics. Zero room. Consider Joseph. He didn't just get released from prison. He was elevated to second in command of the most powerful nation on earth in a single afternoon. His brothers didn't hear through the grapevine that he was doing okay. They had to bow before him, literally fulfilling the very dreams they had mocked. The vindication was so complete, so overwhelming, that they trembled in fear when they realized who they'd been dealing with all along. Look at David, this young shepherd boy, anointed in secret, dismissed by his own father, ridiculed by his brothers, and hunted like an animal by a paranoid king. For years he lived in caves, ran for his life, and watched less qualified men sit on the throne that God had promised him. But when his moment came, when God's timing aligned with divine purpose, the entire nation didn't just accept him as king, they desperately wanted him as king. His vindication was so thorough that even his enemies, children, sang songs about his greatness. Then there's Esther, an orphaned Jewish girl hidden in a foreign palace, carrying the weight of her people's survival on her shoulders, while everyone around her remained oblivious to her true identity and purpose. She couldn't defend herself, couldn't explain her actions, couldn't justify her strange requests. She simply had to trust that God's timing would reveal everything. And when it did, her enemy Haman was hanged on the very gallows he'd built for her uncle Mordecai. The reversal wasn't subtle. It was spectacular, public, and permanent. Do you see the pattern? God doesn't do partial vindication. He doesn't do sort of, or maybe they'll understand eventually. When he moves on behalf of his chosen ones, he moves in a way that makes his hand undeniable, his timing perfect, and his choice of you unquestionable. The silence you've maintained in the face of accusations, that's about to be broken, not by your words, but by God's unmistakable demonstration. The patience you've exercised while watching others take credit for your ideas, that's about to be rewarded with recognition you never sought but cannot refuse. The faith you've clung to when every circumstance screamed that you were forgotten, that's about to be validated in front of the very people who said, "You were crazy for believing." Your vindication won't require your defense. It will speak for itself. Right now, if you're truly walking in your calling as a chosen one, you're experiencing very specific spiritual markers. These aren't coincidences. They're confirmation that what's coming will silence every doubt, starting with your own. First marker, supernatural peace in the midst of chaos. While everything around you seems uncertain, while doors appear closed, while circumstances look impossible, there's a peace deep in your spirit that makes no logical sense. This isn't denial, it's divine assurance. It's the same peace that allowed Jesus to sleep in a boat during a storm that terrified experienced fishermen. When God is about to move mountains on your behalf, He first removes the anxiety from your heart so you can watch His work clearly. Second marker, increased spiritual attacks and opposition. If the intensity has gone up, congratulations, you're closer than you think. The enemy doesn't waste resources on people who aren't threats. That sudden financial pressure, that unexpected health challenge, that relationship that just imploded, these aren't signs that you're off track. They're signs that hell is panicking because it sees what's coming and it's trying desperately to make you quit before the breakthrough manifests. Third marker, divine connections materializing out of nowhere. You're meeting people you have no business meeting. Conversations are happening that defy natural explanation. Doors are cracking open that you didn't even knock on. God is strategically positioning you, connecting you with the right people at the right time, building the infrastructure for your vindication before you even realize you need it. Fourth marker, a refining of your character through fire. If you feel like you're being tested on every level, your patience, your integrity, your faith, your humility, it's because God is preparing you to handle what's coming. The vindication that's approaching is so massive that the person you were a year ago couldn't carry it with grace. You're being shaped, molded, and purified so that when the blessing arrives, it doesn't destroy you. Fifth marker, a growing detachment from the need to explain yourself. You're finding that you care less and less about defending your choices, justifying your path, or convincing skeptics. This isn't apathy. It's spiritual maturity. It's the confidence that comes from knowing God sees, God knows, and God will speak on your behalf in ways your words never could. These markers aren't random. They're divine confirmation that your season of obscurity is ending and your season of undeniable manifestation is beginning. There's a particular kind of silence that chosen ones experience right before God speaks their vindication into existence. It's not the silence of absence, it's the silence of holy anticipation. It's the hush that falls over creation right before God says, "Let there be light." You might be in that silence right now. Your prayers feel like they're hitting the ceiling. Your prophetic dreams have slowed down. The constant confirmations you used to receive have quieted. And in that silence, doubt whispers, maybe you got it wrong. Maybe you're not chosen after all. Maybe this was all in your head. But let me tell you what's really happening in that silence. In that silence, God is moving pieces on a chessboard you cannot see. He's orchestrating circumstances, softening hard hearts, opening impossible doors, and dismantling obstacles that you don't even know exist yet. In that silence, your enemies are being positioned exactly where they need to be to witness your elevation. In that silence, your destiny is being aligned with divine timing so perfectly that when it manifests, no one, including you, can take credit for it. Remember Lazarus? Mary and Martha sent word to Jesus that their brother was dying. They expected him to rush to Bethesda immediately. Instead, Jesus waited. He stayed where he was for 2 more days while Lazarus died, was buried, and began to decompose. Can you imagine the confusion, the hurt, the sense of abandonment? Where is he? Why isn't he coming? Doesn't he care? But Jesus wasn't late. He was strategic. He waited until the situation was so impossible, so beyond human intervention, that when he spoke life into that tomb, no one could attribute it to good timing or medical recovery. The miracle had to be undeniable. The resurrection had to silence every doubt about who Jesus was and what he could do. Your silence, this season where heaven seems quiet, is God waiting for your situation to become so impossible that when he speaks, when he moves, when he vindicates you, there will be no alternative explanation. No one will be able to say, well, that was just good luck, or they finally caught a break. No, they'll have to say, God did that. There's no other explanation. Stop interpreting God's silence as God's absence. He's not distant. He's deliberate. He's not ignoring you. He's setting the stage. And the stage he's setting requires this particular silence because what's coming is so loud, so powerful, so undeniable that it will echo through eternity. While you've been waiting for external vindication, God has been performing a more important work, internal transformation. The chosen one who enters the season of public Vindication must be fundamentally different from the person who entered the season of private testing, or the blessing will become a curse. Consider Moses. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace gave him confidence, education, and connections. But it also gave him pride, impulsiveness, and a reliance on his own strength. When he tried to deliver Israel in his own power, he killed an Egyptian and had to flee for his life. God sent him to the backside of the desert for another 40 years, not as punishment, but as preparation. The Moses who confronted Pharaoh was humble, dependent on God, and secure enough in his identity that he didn't need to prove himself. The vindication came only after the transformation was complete. You are being transformed right now in ways you cannot fully perceive. That frustration you feel when others don't see your value, God is using it to root out your need for human validation. That isolation you're experiencing, God is using it to develop your intimacy with Him so that when crowds gather, you won't lose your connection to the source. That financial pressure you're under, God is teaching you that He is your provider, not your job, not your talent, not your connections. Him alone. Every doubt you've faced has been an invitation to deeper faith. Every disappointment has been an opportunity to trust God's timing over your own understanding. Every betrayal has been a chance to forgive like Christ forgave and to bless those who curse you. You haven't been going through this for nothing. You've been going through this for your own preparation and protection. Here's what many chosen ones don't understand. The vindication that's coming will attract attention, resources, influence, and opportunity at levels you've never experienced. If you're not rooted, grounded, humble, and dependent on God when that arrives, it will destroy you faster than obscurity ever could. The cemetery of destiny is filled with chosen ones who received their breakthrough before their character could sustain it. But that won't be you. Why? Because you've been faithful in the wilderness. You've worshipped when you had nothing to celebrate. You've given when it made no logical sense. You've maintained your integrity when no one was watching. You've stayed pure when impurity would have been easier. You've chosen God's way even when the devil offered shortcuts. The transformation happening in your hiddenness is the very thing that will allow you to walk in your vindication with grace, humility, and sustained anointing. When what's coming arrives, and it is coming, you'll be ready, not just for the blessing, but for the responsibility that comes with it. I need you to understand something crucial. Your vindication isn't a future event you're waiting for. It's a present reality already, unfolding in the spiritual realm. What you're experiencing right now isn't the waiting room. It's the birth canal. And birth is never comfortable, but it's always productive. In the invisible realm, angels are already moving on your behalf. Demonic assignments against your destiny are being cancelled. Ancient doors are creaking open. Divine appointments are being scheduled. Supernatural provision is being released. Enemies of your purpose are being confused and scattered. The pieces of your puzzle are being gathered from the four corners of the earth and assembled into a picture so beautiful, so perfect, so beyond what you imagined that when you finally see it, you'll weep at God's goodness. Daniel 10 gives us insight into this reality. Daniel prayed and fasted for 3 weeks, receiving no answer, seeing no result. He could have concluded that God wasn't listening or that his prayers were ineffective. But then an angel appeared and told him, "From the first day that you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were heard, and I have come in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Daniel's breakthrough wasn't delayed because God said no. It was delayed because warfare was happening in realms he couldn't see. But the answer was already en route from day one. The same is true for you. Your vindication was set in motion the moment God called you. Every day since then, heaven has been working, sometimes visibly, often invisibly, to bring it to pass. You don't see the meetings happening in boardrooms where your name is being mentioned for opportunities you didn't apply for. You don't see the hearts being softened toward you by people who once opposed you. You don't see the traps being dismantled that were set for your destruction. You don't see the wealth being transferred, the doors being oiled, the roads being cleared, the mountains being moved. But just because you don't see it doesn't mean it isn't happening. Your part right now is not to manufacture the breakthrough. It's to maintain your position. Keep praying, keep worshiping, keep working faithfully in the small things. Keep your heart pure. Keep your spirit sensitive. Keep your faith active, because what's happening in the Spiritual realm is about to break through into the natural realm with such force that it will leave you breathless. The shift is already in motion. The vindication is already approved. The manifestation is already en route. What's coming will silence every doubt, including yours. There is coming a moment, and for some of you, it's closer than you think, when God will speak your name publicly, not literally audible to human ears, but through circumstances so orchestrated, so perfectly timed, so undeniably divine that everyone who witnesses it will know that God has chosen you. This is what happened with David when Samuel poured oil on his head. In that moment, before he fought any giant, before he led any army, before he sat on any throne, God publicly declared, "This is my chosen one." David's brothers were there, his father was there, and though years would pass before the fullness manifested, the declaration had been made in heaven and witnessed on earth. When God speaks your name publicly, several things happen simultaneously. First, your hidden faithfulness becomes visible fruit. All those years you've been serving in obscurity, all those times you've been faithful in small things, all those moments when you chose obedience over comfort, suddenly they compound. The fruit doesn't trickle in, it floods. Opportunities don't knock politely. They break down the door. Favor doesn't come gradually. It comes in waves that overwhelm you. Second, your critics become silent. They don't necessarily become supporters. Some will simply fade into the background, while others will watch from a distance in stunned silence. But the mocking stops. The dismissive comments cease. The patronizing attitudes evaporate. Why? Because what God is doing through you is so obvious, so powerful, so anointed that to speak against it would be to speak against God himself. Third, your true assignment becomes clear. Up until now, you might have had pieces of the puzzle, glimpses of your purpose, fragments of your calling. But when God speaks your name publicly, suddenly the full picture comes into focus. You understand why you went through what you went through. You see how every trial prepared you for this specific moment. You recognize that nothing was wasted. Every tear had purpose. Every test had meaning. Every delay had divine reasoning. Fourth, your sphere of influence expands dramatically. You're no longer speaking to the same small circle. Your words carry weight in rooms you've never entered. Your influence reaches people you've never met. Your impact extends to places you've never visited. This isn't about fame, it's about kingdom assignment. God is amplifying your voice because the message you carry is needed by multitudes, not just by the few who've been with you in the wilderness. Fifth, your dependence on God deepens. Counterintuitive, perhaps, but chosen ones who truly walk in their vindication recognize that the higher God elevates them, the more desperately they need him. The anointing increases, but so does the responsibility. The platform expands, but so does the target on your back. You learn quickly that what God has given, only God can sustain. When God speaks your name publicly, make no mistake, it will silence doubts. But more importantly, it will launch you into the fullness of your calling. And that fullness is what every trial has been preparing you to walk in. If you've made it this far in this message, it's because your spirit recognizes that your season is shifting. So let's talk practically about how you prepare for what's coming. Because chosen one, what's coming requires readiness. First, guard your heart fiercely right now. Bitterness is a luxury you cannot afford. Unforgiveness is a weight you must release. Resentment toward those who doubted you will poison the blessing that's approaching. Jesus said in Luke 6:28, "Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who mistreat you." This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. When your vindication arrives, you must arrive in it with a clean heart, or you'll use your platform for revenge rather than kingdom purpose. Second, increase your capacity through study and preparation. God is about to give you access to rooms you've only dreamed of, conversations with people you've only admired from afar, opportunities that require excellence. This is not the season to coast spiritually or intellectually. Read the books, take the courses, develop the skills, refine the gift. Your vindication will create open doors, but your preparation determines whether you walk through them with competence or crumble under the weight of opportunity. Third, build your team now. Chosen ones are not called to Lone Ranger Christianity. Moses had Aaron and Hur. David had his mighty men. Jesus had his disciples. You need people around you who see your calling, celebrate your assignment, and will stand with you when the spotlight gets hot. Stop trying to do this alone. God is already sending you your team. Recognize them, value them, invest in them. Fourth, steward what you have with integrity. How you handle the little will determine what God trusts you with in the much. That job you don't like, do it with excellence. That small platform you have, serve it faithfully. Those few resources you're managing, manage them wisely. God is watching how you treat the current assignment before He releases the next level assignment. Fifth, stay in God's presence. This is non-negotiable. When vindication comes, everyone will want your time, your attention, your energy. If you haven't established rhythms of prayer, worship, and intimacy with God now, you won't maintain them when life gets busy. Your private devotion determines your public anointing. Protect your prayer life like your destiny depends on it, because it does. Sixth, document your journey. You're going through this not just for yourself, but for the countless chosen ones who will come after you. Your testimony will be their encouragement. Your breakthrough will be their hope. Write down what God is teaching you. Record the promises He's speaking. Capture the lessons learned in the valley, because when you reach the mountain, you'll need to show others the path. Finally, position yourself to receive. This sounds simple, but it's where many chosen ones stumble. When the blessing comes, when the vindication arrives, when the doors open, receive it. Don't shrink back in false humility. Don't question whether you deserve it. Don't sabotage what God is doing because you feel unworthy. You're not worthy. None of us are, but God has chosen you anyway. Accept His choice. Step into the calling. Walk in the blessing and give Him all the glory. Let me close with this. Chosen one, because I need you to see beyond this current moment of waiting and into the eternal impact of what's about to happen. What's coming, this vindication that will silence every doubt, isn't just about you feeling validated or getting recognition. It's about the testimony you will carry for the rest of your life. It's about the countless people who will encounter God through your story. It's about the generations who will draw courage from your courage. Faith from your faith, perseverance from your perseverance. Revelation 12:11 says, they triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Your testimony is a weapon, not just for you, but for everyone who hears it. When you stand on the other side of this season and declare what God has done, when you tell the story of how He vindicated you when all seemed lost, how He silenced the doubters and fulfilled His promise, you will set captives free. There is someone in your future who is about to give up on their calling. They're tired, discouraged, and convinced they heard God wrong. But then they'll hear your testimony. They'll hear how long you waited. They'll hear about the doors that seemed permanently closed. They'll hear about the people who said you were delusional. And then they'll hear about the breakthrough, the undeniable, unmistakable, supernatural vindication that could only come from God. And in that moment, hope will be resurrected in their heart. They'll decide to hold on for one more day. And that one more day will become their breakthrough day. This is why you couldn't quit. This is why the enemy fought you so hard. This is why God sustained you through seasons that should have destroyed you. Your vindication isn't just personal, it's prophetic. It's a sign and a wonder that points others to the faithfulness of God. So stand firm, chosen one. What's coming will silence every doubt, the doubts of others. Yes, but more importantly, your own doubts. You will look back on this season and marvel at how God worked everything together for your good. You will see His hand in places you thought He was absent. You will understand delays that once frustrated you. You will appreciate the closed doors that forced you toward the right door. Your vindication is not coming, it's here. The shift is not future, it's now. The breakthrough is not distant, it's imminent. And when it fully manifests in the natural realm, when what's been true in heaven becomes visible on earth, when God silences every doubt with undeniable demonstration of His power and purpose in your life, remember this moment. Remember the waiting. Remember the faith it required. Remember who sustained you. And then, chosen one, tell your story. Tell it boldly. Tell it faithfully. Tell it repeatedly, because your testimony will be the very thing that keeps another chosen one holding on until their vindication comes. What's coming will silence every doubt. Get ready.